GTNH Waterline Purified Water tier list, let's go. Water, tier 0. Distilled water, tier 0.5. Tier 1 water, tier 1. Grade 2 water, tier 2. Grade 3 water, tier 3. Grade 4 water, tier 4. Grade 5 water, tier 5. Grade 6 water, tier 6. Grade 7 water, tier 7. Grade 8 water, tier 8. Let's go. Okay, so a lot of people have messaged me in the past, how does your waterline setup work with this weird-ass battery and this redstone controller here? What I'm basically doing here is making sure that only one of the machines in my waterline runs at the same time. That means that we can maximize the parallels that each machine runs at, which you can set here. Instead of running all of them at the same time at a low parallel count, you can run all of them at the same time at a very high parallel count, which means that since the catalyst in this recipe only gets consumed one at a time per recipe, no matter how many parallels you use, doing it this way will reduce the amount of catalyst you will need to run the waterline overall, and therefore just reduce your overall load on your resource system, especially for the higher tiers where you will need to add infinity in the molten form or superconductors for the tier 7 and neutronium and so forth, which can get quite expensive if you run it constantly. So the idea is basically as follows. I make sure that only one machine is ever turned on using redstone peer-to-peer through the machines using machine controller covers that only enable with redstone. For this, I have one of those covers on each of the 8 machines of the waterline, as you can see here, for a few of them. I won't go into detail for the overall automation of how I did the waterline, as there's lots of resources for that already around, but only for the main controller I'm using here. The automation itself is something you can figure out on your own, presumably. So the idea is about as follows. We have this massive redstone controller here, which might look a bit daunting to you, but I use the system with vanilla redstone, so it's easy to explain and won't go into the detail of being complicated if you use Project Red, for example, with all those weird hatches. You can do that with vanilla redstone only. So you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slices, one for each of the tiers of the water. The idea is about as follows. If you take a look at, for example, the tier 1 water, it uses basic water and this activated carbon filter mesh to turn it into filtered water grade 1. And then you get the grade 1. You use that with ozone in the tier 2 waterline machine to get tier 2. Use that with polyaluminium chloride for tier 3, and so on and so forth. To climb through the tiers, it always uses the previous one. So the thing we got to think about is if we want to run a machine, which we peer-to-peer redstone, this is what goes to the tier 1, this is what goes to the tier 2, and so on. First of all, can the machine run? And second of all, should the machine run? The paradigms I use here is a machine should run if it is the highest tier of purified water that can currently be produced safely. That means the ingredients are there, and we are not over the threshold of what should be stored. So basically, if I have enough materials to produce tier 7 water, but not enough materials to produce tier 8 water, I should be making tier 7 water, even if I could be doing tier 5 and have all the materials for that around, because the higher tiers of water are the ones that are commonly used in your base, because you usually want to use the highest tier of water you can use. So we basically got a bunch of level emitters. Those are only for fluid in this case. This is basically filtered to grade 1 water, which says if there's over a specific amount of water, emit redstone. And the other one is for the activated carbon filter mesh, which says if it's below 1,000, emit redstone. This basically means the blocks above this will get powered either if we have too much tier 1 water or if we don't have enough carbon filter meshes. The 1,000 here is like pretty big, but you can set this to any number that guarantees 1 runs. So it could be 2 or 3, but I just like having a big number here just for safety. Same goes for the tier 2 water. It checks, is there enough tier 2 water? If yes, send a signal. That's why it's on here. And these are the other two. These are off because we have enough tier 1 water to make it run. Because tier 1 water is an ingredient. We don't use tier 1 water as an ingredient in the... use regular water as an ingredient in the tier 1. Because we can just provide it via a reservoir hatch, for example. So it will never run out, so we don't have to care about it. And the other material that's relevant is the ozone. We also track, is there enough of it there? If yes, turn off this level emitter. For the other tiers, we do it the same way. The tier 7 is the biggest one because if you read the tooltip here, it says insert like a lot of different things. There's a lot of fluids involved here. We track it. We have all of them here. So how does this work? Well, we saw there's a bunch of level emitters below this line. This just has a lot of redstone running on it. Basically, this line is on because the fluid level emitter here is on. This means power is on this line, which just spreads over this entire line of blocks. And there will be redstone power on this line if any of the conditions you set here are fulfilled. That means if you either got too much of the water that is relevant for the tier that is being produced, or you don't have the ingredients. And then you basically take that and invert it, which means if there is a reason to not do the water currently, this redstone line will be on, and therefore this redstone torch will be off. So this redstone torch will be off if the water should not be running. You basically pipe this directly into the peer-to-peer tunnel to the machines. That handles should a tier of water be currently running, can it be safely run? That handles one of the two paradigms we want to use. The other one is always run the highest tier of available water, which means we should only be running one at a time to maximize the parallels being used. So we gotta turn off tier 1 if tier 2 is running, turn off tier 2 if tier 3 is running, also turn off tier 1 when tier 3 is running. That's what we got this system here for. Basically, if this here is off, then this redstone torch will turn on. This redstone torch will face into this line of repeaters that just goes to the right, which means to the lower tiers of water for the control circuit. And as you can see, if this redstone turns on, let me just grab a lever for a second. If this redstone turns on, for example, because this is tier 5 water, I believe. Like, if this torch were to turn on, then all the redstone to the right here would turn on, which would just directly power those lines and disable the water line for those specific tiers, which ensures that only the highest tier of water is ever being run. That basically covers the part of which water should be running at a given time. I have one more additional component to how my waterline automation works. It's unfortunately currently broken due to a bug of how, what are they called, energy detector covers. Covers work if you use an UHV battery in your Lapatronic supercapacitor. This will not work due to limitations in how the game code is rendered. But this is something you can do in theory to improve the way this is running even more. Basically, the way you want to do this is, for the machines we talked about setting high parallels. And how many parallels do we want to set? Well, the idea is about as follows. We can check the energy input for the waterline we have here, which is an UHV 1024 amps per tick laser hatch. So if we check UHV laser source, we can see for the 1000 one that it takes 2.1 billion EU per tick. So if we take this number, I think it's 2 to the power of 16, might be wrong. Nope, 32. Yeah, I don't know how high this number is, but it's a power of 2. Give me a second. I think it might be 20. Oh, whatever. Basically, if you take this number and divided by the amount of power that is getting used by one of these steps, the usage in EU per tick, you get how many parallels you can use at a given time, because well, the amount of parallels times the EU being used per parallel is just the power being used for that amount of parallels. So you want to set the parallels basically to the fraction of the energy provided by the energy consumed for the recipe that's set here, and that will allow you to determine how many parallels you use here for each of the machines. This number will differ for different machines. I got it to 4,000, 4,000, and I think here it's 1,000 because that one requires 4 times as much power. So the numbers vary by tier a lot. And the thing you can now additionally do is you see here a 1000 amp UHV laser. This is in my PDM. I only got a single Nakata reactor running and connecting this. It's currently turned off, but it's producing way less than 2 billion EU per tick. But the way we can make this work is by putting a battery buffer in between and putting a energy detector cover here. Now, what I would like to do here is set this number to 120, because that's the amount of seconds your waterline will run, times 20, because that's how many ticks are there in a second, times 2.1 billion. That's the number you want to set it to. I don't know if this works. Yeah, it doesn't. So if you set this, there shouldn't be a point here. It should be this number. This should be the energy consumed per cycle. So you want to set the the regular energy detector cover to this number. What this means is that it will output a redstone signal only if you got that much energy stored in your Lapatronic supercapacitor. You want to set the number a bit higher for safety, as you usually want to do. But if you do that, you can take the redstone signal here, put it onto the other side via red crystal, and put another one here with a machine controller cover set to active on redstone. Again, I don't have to set up because the energy detector cover is bugged, so I can't really use it. But for people who don't yet use UHV capacitors, this setup will work. Now, why are we doing this step with the added Lapatronic supercapacitor? Well, the idea is about as follows. We can use this to batch up energy, and if you check it here, it's just a ZPM 1000 amp laser hatch, which is only 1/16 of the power as the waterline uses here. And by this method, we can effectively increase the amount of parallels by another factor of 16 without using more catalyst, by making the whole controller only run 1/16 of the time instead of running constantly, which will basically do the same thing, allow us to set the parallels higher by another factor of 16, or whatever tier of laser you can afford to put batteries in for, and allow you to reduce catalyst usage even further. Yeah, that should be all that I got set up here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them into the comments below, and have fun with your new waterline setup.